Hello. I want to start off this video by saying thank you so much to those who commented, liked, subscribed, and viewed my last video. It is so appreciated. I can't even put it into words. Today I wanted to do a recent disappearance case. This case has a lot of details that I'm going to be going over, so it might be a lengthy video. If you are interested in watching a disappearance case, then settle in, grab what you need, relax, take a deep breath as we discuss the case of Ciera Breland. So Ciera was born Ciera Nicole Locklear in Georgia on January 10th, 1991, to parents Nick and Kelly Locklear. Her mom describes her as a sweet, tender-hearted girl. Her mom was a paralegal for years and really loved her job. So her mom was always discussing her job, and this was something that really inspired Ciera to follow in the same line of work and become an attorney. She went to the Florida State Law School, which she absolutely loved. She really took in life while she was there. She was actually rated at the top 100 lawyers to watch for in the country, which is so badass. She was really proud of her hard work and her accomplishments, and she became a young attorney who really loved her job. Shelby Campbell is her cousin, and she describes that even at 5 feet tall, she was this dynamite in a tiny little package. She had the world's biggest personality, and she was so vibrant. Nick Locklear, her father, says that her entire life she was a daddy's girl, and he was very overprotective of her since she was 5 feet smaller. So he kind of shielded her a lot, and she didn't really start branching out socially and dating until she kind of got into law school. On October of 2020, she downloaded dating sites where she met Xavier on Tinder. He was 37 years old. She was really falling for him, and they became inseparable. The family described him as sweet and funny, and he was over her place all of the time. He had 2 children from a previous relationship, which was a 10-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl, and the family was really fine with this dynamic. The family starts noticing some things in this relationship at this point. Her cousin describes the relationship developing into a place that had no middle ground. It would be really great, and then it would be really bad. Minute by minute within the day, it could fluctuate between the two. In April or May of 2021, her cousin got a text saying, "Hey, I'm getting married today at 4. And due to the COVID pandemic, they got married by a judge via Zoom. They got married due to finding out that she had become pregnant. So this marriage and pregnancy all happened very quickly, and it was quite a shock to the family. Ciera was very excited. She was excited to get married and have kids, and the couple had planned that they were going to move to Carmel, Indiana, to be closer to his biological dad. It was a beautiful little town that had ponds and cute white picket fences. And it was just going to be a really good start for them. I personally say Carmel. I think it's so, I don't know, when people say Carmel for caramel, but this town is actually spelled Carmel, and it's pronounced Carmel. October 9th, 2021, their son Jackson was born, and she was so happy and loved being a mom. She was so excited. Apparently, like, with little behaviors, he would coo or gargle, and she'd get really excited and giggly about all the little behaviors he'd done, which is so cute. On February 19th, 2022, they drove from Indiana to Johns Creek, Georgia, to visit his mother's house. She hadn't seen the baby, I think, about once, and so at this point the baby's 5 months old, so it was time for a visit. His mother's house was actually located about 45 minutes to an hour from her parents' home. So Ciera, Xavier, Jackson, and the couple's dog, a white golden doodle named Baxter, made the long trip from Indiana to visit the family in Georgia, driving a white 2017 Volkswagen with the Georgia license plate RMB5869. And this was surrounded by a Florida State University Law School frame. On February 23rd, 2022, it was a Wednesday, and her father received a text saying that she wasn't feeling well. So he replied back saying, what's going on? What's wrong? And she just said, I'm feeling really sick, but I am feeling a little bit better. And this would be the last time the family hears from her. On February 25th, her cousin called her phone and had no response. At this point, the family's thinking there's maybe something going on, or she's sick or busy, but it continued to be radio silence, which was extremely rare for her. On Saturday, the 26th of February, the next day, around 11 p.m. at night, her parents received a call from Indiana, which was surprising since she was supposed to be in Georgia. It was the Carmel PD in Indiana who wanted to speak to Ciera's father, and they had said she was reported missing. This is the first time the family hears about her disappearance, which is so sad to have to find out in that way. On Saturday, February 26th, Xavier reports her missing. You can hear him in the 911 call. He's frantic, asking what should I do, and he seemed very concerned. When the police arrived, he was pacing back and forth. He was very nervous. This all seemed normal for a husband who's reporting his wife missing. He tells the police that the night before they had gotten into a fight that caused her to leave the home. She apparently had run out of Adderall and wanted to use his, but he refused, which caused her to become angry and say she's going to leave, and just left the home at that point. Police do not notice any damages to the property or any signs of injury or physical altercations in the home. That Saturday, her cousin reports later in the day she received a call from the Carmel, Indiana PD who asked her if she's related to Ciera, and they're trying to get some more information about her missing. She discovers that Ciera's son and dog were with Xavier, and she had left her phone, wallet, car keys and car, and that he is saying that she just walked on off at 11 p.m. Friday night. And her cousin is like, okay, that's really strange. And her cousin had talked to her that Monday, and she was supposed to be in Georgia, and she seemed normal in this conversation. So Xavier tells the police the day before they returned from visiting the family in Georgia, and they had an argument. He claims it was common for her to go next door to the father's house when they had arguments. He wanted to give her time to cool off, so he didn't immediately follow her. When police ask his father questions, his father is Xavier Sr., about, did she come after this argument? Have you seen her? Both Xavier Sr. and his wife state that they had not seen her that previous 24 hours, and they had no knowledge of her whereabouts. They describe Xavier Sr. as being very open with the police. He even gives the police surveillance cameras since he lived next door. And upon review, they are watching to see, what direction did she walk. And when they look, there's no signs of her leaving the home on the cameras. He says, so Xavier Jr., her husband, starts saying, well, she must have gone to the pharmacy to get that medication, since the pharmacy is about a half-mile away from the home. Like, this is 11 p.m., dude. I don't know. The police go to the pharmacy, and the pharmacy hands over the surveillance footage immediately, and they don't find any signs of her. So at this point, the police go to neighbors, stores, businesses, seeing if anyone had seen her or trying to collect any other surveillance camera footage. But there's no footage to obtain her walking anywhere that night. There's nothing. So on February 27th, she's been missing for 3 days now. There's no sign of her. So they bring in the canine unit to see if they can pick up any scent. They sniff the cars, the whole house, the neighborhood, and these dogs pick up absolutely nothing. This is really sketchy because if she had rode up in a car a very short time ago, the dogs would at least pick up a scent in that car. So since they have nothing, they reach out to the Johns Creek PD where they were visiting his mother. They are also able to interview her parents and find out more about her life, her job, her relationship, and the parents start telling the police everything they know about Xavier, including a very disturbing detail. On Christmas of 2021, they had come to her parents' home looking very disheveled, and they come to find out that she tells her parents they are people chasing them, and it's very serious. So Xavier believes his ex-wife was dating someone who is tied to the cartel, sex trafficking and drug trafficking, and at this point Ciera is fearing for her life. She's losing weight and she's losing sleep. She's just very distressed. So they stay at the parents' home and visit, and then they go to a hotel afterwards to lay low. So apparently, as she's an attorney, she has the ability to search up names in a database and get more information, which eventually leads her to reaching out to the FBI, who do confirm there are sex trafficking rings going on and that they were looking into it, but to also be careful what she was looking into because it's the cartel. Obviously, the family is concerned about this being a possible angle or motive for the disappearance. Police are looking into every theory, but they can't find any leads relating this group to the disappearance. So at this point, the parents are wondering, like, is it the cartel? Is it this weirdo she's married to? You know, they're kind of saying, like, he may have been keeping her in a paranoid state to control her and manipulate her. Her mother believes he was kind of playing mind games with her and scaring her to keep her in the relationship. So we get a little bit more background on the relationship. Apparently it was about 4 to 5 months into the relationship when Ciera is starting to see these negative aspects. He's going through her phone, he's yelling at her, he's blowing up at small things, and the family's surprised at her backing down in this relationship in that way. Xavier begins keeping her from people, and there were possibly some financial strains due to him not working for a while. He was home all the time while she was trying to work and support the family, support him. So he apparently just becomes very emotionally abusive and paranoid, and kind of saying, like, there's these ex-boyfriends, and is this pregnancy even mine? Blah, 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 blah. Just very insecure weirdo. So things are intensifying, and her family says she's starting to get scared and worried about her safety. They wanted her to come home and get out of the situation, but she's 31, she's trustworthy, and she keeps telling her family, this is marriage, I have to work through it, and I signed up for this, and it's good and bad. These fights start as verbal, but then move to physical. Around the summer of 2021, she sends a picture to her mother showing physical signs of abuse and tells her mom to keep these photos of her. She's keeping a lot from her parents about the extent of the abuse. And after her disappearance is when the parents kind of discover the true extent of this abuse. Her cousin says she was concerned with sharing custody with the baby and wanted to kind of stick by him until she could get away. So she starts putting money away and planning to move back home with her parents eventually. There's some texts that she sends to her cousin saying, I'm done and I'm ready to come home. On February 28th, police go to his mother's house, and it's more of a general walkthrough to see if she's there, but there's no warrant, there's no collection of evidence, or really more intentional looking at this time. The family is still searching, and they start to go to this Georgia neighborhood that she was last possibly seen in to get more information to see if the neighbors saw anything. One of the residents in his mom's neighborhood had footage from her doorbell camera that showed her vehicle passing through. It doesn't have anything, definitive regarding Ciera, but apparently in this footage you can see someone is driving and the dog is in the passenger seat, which could and could not be sketchy. Is Ciera in the back seat with the baby, or is she not in the car? At this point, the family is on this shit and ready to go. They are following through with some leads of their own. So firstly, they decide to look at the dog, Baker, who was her absolute love. they figured maybe we can find some evidence through his microchip. So they go and see that his last location of his last scan from his microchip was halfway between the home and Georgia, and it was a small town of Kentucky called Elizabethtown. But the next day, the owner of the microchip company calls the family and says, I apologize, but that last scan was actually from a year ago. So this was very disappointing because they, are obviously searching for any leads and hoping this could have been one. The FBI joins in on this case and posts a national bulletin with the details of the disappearance, and they offer a $10,000 reward for any info that leads to this case. A tipster then reports she believes Ciera was at a local Target. She said she saw a woman who matched her description begging for money, and the police are on it. They immediately show up to this Target and review the surveillance footage and discover it was not her. So another tip comes in from a woman at a casino who would believe she saw a woman matching her description arguing with another male. And again, there's no surveillance evidence or footage to believe that this was Ciera. They're able to obtain cell phone records from her phone, which shows that she was located at Chattahoochee River, which was located about a mile from Xavier's mother's house. On Tuesday, March the 1st, they are able to conduct and search the Chattahoochee River. According to phone records, it shows that her phone had been around this river for an extended period of time. So they bring out boats, cadaver dogs, helicopters, drones, and go out and look into this river, but they're unable to find any specific answers. They are then able to obtain some new surveillance footage that shows her at his mother's house on February 23rd at 7:17. This is where she is last seen casually standing in the doorway at her mother's home. There's nothing specific about her behavior. She doesn't appear to be in distress or upset. There's really nothing to observe in this except for her standing in that doorway. Police then execute a search warrant at his mother's home, looking for any signs of evidence, blood, a struggle. Dogs again were unable to find any definitive scent. However, it seems like they did collect some evidence from this home, but police are not disclosing any details due to this being an ongoing case. It's not clear how much Xavier's mother is interacting with the police in this investigation, which was my big question. What's this lady saying? What's she doing? She's one of the last people who would have seen Ciera too. And, Faja is being open with the police. Is Maja being open with the police? I would like to know. Police then look at the actual route that they would have taken from Johns Creek to Carmel. They are looking into surveillance footage at the stops that he would have taken along the route of this travel. They did obtain some footage that show him getting out, but not her. So he got out of the car, went to the bathroom at the rest stop, got gas, and drove off. He doesn't walk the dog, he doesn't feed or change the baby, nothing. Which is very odd that she wasn't in any video footage. when you have a 5-month-old baby, a dog, a bladder, you're gonna use those rest stops. This is an 11-hour drive apparently, and there's nothing showing her getting out of the car. Police indicate to her mom at some point that they're worried about, due to this route having many steep cliffs, that it could be a place to dump a body. You feel so much for all these families, but you can see the mother being heartbroken, imagining this being a possibility. On March 22nd, an investigative reporter breaks a huge piece of news about Xavier and what he reported to the police. An anonymous source leaks this Zoom video of Xavier talking to his children. He's saying someone kidnapped his wife, and when an adult is kidnapped, it means that they're not coming home, buddy. And this is just so weird, because how do you know she's been kidnapped, buddy? He's almost recording himself, like if the phone would be under the table or in his lap. It's just a weird video. And this is obviously very different than what he had reported to the police about her getting up and walking away from the home that night. So Carmel Police do a background check on Xavier and find out that he has stalking charges against him from his ex-wife in Georgia. They have no hard evidence linking him to Ciera's disappearance, but they do arrest him on the outstanding warrant from the past charge. Apparently, he was accused of putting a tracker inside a stuffed animal belonging to his daughter with the intention of tracking the mother. This case stemmed from a custody battle between the two. So he's sent to jail, and he's waiting trial while he's in jail, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Ciera's case, but there's somewhat of a relief for the family just knowing he's in jail for something. Of course, he is claiming he's innocent of any involvement in her disappearance. On August 11th, 2022, he is found not guilty for aggravated stalking charges brought by his ex-wife. So, family is wanting answers, they want closure, and they want some peace. And they feel like Xavier is the only one who can really give those answers. And he's, his dad's like, he's creating a different story for everyone, and it's very suspicious. So there's been multiple searches. There's just no clues of what happened to her. She was 31 and a new mother. She's described by police for being 5 feet tall and weighing about 120 pounds with blonde hair. A lot of people believe that she never made out of Georgia. So there's a lot of numbers you can call if you have any information, and I can put that information down below. So that is the very sad disappearance of Ciera Breland. I can't help but think that Xavier does have some information or something to share, but for right now, I think police are gathering a lot of information that we may not know about. So there may be some new developments or something that occurs soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. I hope you are having a good night or good day, and I hope you have a good day tomorrow. And I will see you in my next video.